I can't hear you.
Oh, well, let's do like this. Nobody could hear me then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all were watching my lips move,
Yeah, that's what I was
and
watching.
and and, and they were like, "Hey, man, sorry, people, if you couldn't sorry, if you couldn't lip read, you didn't know what I was saying for the last 5 minutes." But anyway, we'll go back all over that just in a second. Um, I was wondering why I kept seeing the light go on and off, on and off, on and off. Y'all should have said something in the chat room, people. Jesus, instead of just disappearing. Anyway, what we opened up with was the Afghanistan mess, which we're going to get into more detail. I mean, this makes Vietnam look like, oh man, come on. I mean, the man got on television last week, said no one will be rushed or taken off of rooftops, and yet what are we seeing?
Yeah,
Last time I
right.
checked, they were taking them off of rooftops, and they're trying to cut deals. So I don't think Cracker Joe realized what was going on. So he thought, because what Obama told him, and then what he's seen from Trump, he thought that, okay, it's going to be a cakewalk. There's not going to be any problem. The military is going to be able to handle this. But he should have realized when Trump was talking about, when we did that prisoner exchange, Trump was talking to the Taliban himself about cutting some kind of, political deal where they would share power in the country. I guess Cracker Joe never realized that and just started pulling everybody out. And the Taliban said, well, screw this. We're going to let him out. And then let's not forget, Uncle Obama and Uncle Cracker Joe, who let who out? The guy who leads the Taliban, the number one leader of the Taliban, was let go by who? Obama. So this guy who's out there now running
There it
terror
is.
across all of Afghanistan was let out by
Killing,
Obama, and of course at the
killing,
at the
killing a
time,
lot of people.
who
Yeah.
was VP? Yes, I mean this guy is hideous. I don't know what they think they were
Why
doing
keep them
here.
around?
Hmm? What was that?
Why keep them around? Why didn't we execute them
I don't know.
the terrorists that they are?
Because Obama felt sorry for him. And I don't understand that because Obama's over there dropping drones, killing people left and right. He killed 25,000 people in 10,000 drone missions. A lot of them were women and children. I noticed media didn't want to talk about
You know
that.
what? If you're a
Yeah.
soldier in the American military and you commit murder, what do they do to you?
Shit. To execute your ass.
Right, they
After
execute
spending
you.
a little time on bread and water, and then they execute your
So,
ass.
so we're going to
Uh,
execute our own troops, but we take these Taliban in and other terrorists from around the world, and we just sit on them. And these are known killers who kill women, children, everybody. They've killed our people. They've
well,
killed their people, but we
yeah.
keep them around.
Under Bush, they were killing them. Hey Jay, how you doing, babe?
Hey, how's it going?
Everybody, Jay Nichols, he as Jeffrey's picture co-host on Church of Mavis. He joins in with us from time to time when he's off. We're just ranting and raving at the moment. So anyway, we're talking about Uncle Joe talking about there's not going to be anybody being lifted out of Afghanistan's on roofs and with helicopters and stuff like that. He says it's not going to be like Vietnam. Of course, it's exactly like Vietnam, and I don't. But it goes back to the same thing. He wasn't understanding what Trump was doing. Trump had set up a deal with the Taliban for power sharing. So we were going to gradually draw down over the next 4 years, and we were going to let the Taliban have power sharing with the Afghan government. The Afghan government was fine with that. But Biden, I don't think Biden knew, or he wasn't paying attention to the news or whatever the hell was going on. He just pulled our troops out, and the Taliban seen a power vacuum. They were like, "Really, America? You really doing this?" It's like when, remember when the Russians pulled out? We looked just like them. We picked on the Russians for 10 years, talking about how pathetic they were, and we turned around and did the exact same thing they did. We just pulled out without any respect for anybody. So here's the Taliban. They pretty much taken the whole country back except for the airport. And if they wanted to take that, they probably could, but they didn't want to kill a bunch of Americans because, of course, we would send our troops back over again and we'd go right back to it. Now, I'm all for ending wars, especially ones that cost us trillions of dollars, but I'm not all at ending wars at their expense. So for us, what basically this says is we spent, $2 trillion and accomplished nothing. We gave it back to the terrorists. The same terrorists that helped launch 9/11, we gave it back to the ones that give homage to Hamas and other, and what was the other, some of the other groups of them. Now they're going to have a place to go hide out. Remember, that's one of the reasons we got rid of Afghanistan is because all the terrorist groups used to go hang out there. Okay, so isn't that what we just did now? Didn't we just give it back after spending 2 trillion? And wait, it's worse than that. We're leaving a lot of our equipment over there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. Is that we've left planes, helicopters, probably years worth of food.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's you just. I mean, I'm beginning to wonder if maybe not. I heard two Democrats talking about just the other day the 25th Amendment. So even they're getting a little worried at this point. If they don't do something, they're going to lose everything. And next year, which they are. By the way, Democrats. I'm not a Republican. I'm a centralist. So I can say this. As it currently stands, you're going to get slaughtered in the next election. Just slaughtered. Plus, on top of that, top of all the bad things you got facing you right now, you want to go spend $5 trillion, and they've already said that you can't put it all on the rich, so you're going to have to put some of that on the middle class. You're going to lose everything. You'll be lucky. I mean, you're already losing 11 seats automatically because you lost these from the House seats and the Senate seats from people leaving your states to go to red states. So you've lost these seats. That's 11 seats you've lost. So currently right now, that would put you would have lost the Senate and the House back to the Republicans. So you're going to lose that before the election even starts. And from what I can see in a lot of blue states, you're going to lose probably 5 or 6 senators. I would say maybe 20, 30 House seats. You might even see a supermajority if things don't straighten out. If gas keeps going up and food keeps going up and COVID keeps going up, you may see a Myrtle landslide in 2022. Something we haven't seen
And
in
it
a
can
long
get even
time.
worse because all the blue states, they're blue states are traditionally what wins the elections. People are moving out. They're abandoning these states. So if most of those are Democrats, all those swing states, they're going to change. I mean, the next election, you might find something like Maryland being a swing state. Maryland's like what, sixth
Well,
district?
I'm glad you brought that up because New York was almost a swing state in the last election. Trump pulled 46.5% of the vote. And he's a big time crazy Republican. So just think if
Mhm.
a real honest Republican, somebody who was good, was doing it, they might have actually won New York. Because you got crazy people like, of course, we got Andrew Cuomo who's leaving a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
Yeah.
And then, but Michael loves this guy. Michael will tell you he is the best governor they've ever had. Isn't that right, Michael?
Cuomo?
Yeah, I know you love Cuomo. You got a secret man crush on this guy. Don't lie.
Cuomo is the devil. He's evil. He's not the devil, but
I know what you
he's
mean.
one of them.
He's well, and I noticed
I'll
that.
tell you, I
I
look in
noticed.
his eyes. He's a scary dude, man.
He
There's
is.
a wicked feeling about him that he could shoot you in the head and laugh about it. Like I don't know.
Well,
He
it's
reminds me of those
funny
mob
how
guys, man.
he's embracing this sexual stuff so that the stuff about the killing all those old people will go away. But I heard again today there's a serious investigation into that. So yeah, I don't know. This guy's in deep trouble. So right now the Democrats are losing two major governors. Actually, I think they said three. Somebody else is coming out. So they're losing three major people plus 11 seats in the next election before it even starts. I mean, now California has voted Republican in the past for governors. It's been what I think the last one was Reagan, wasn't it? Wasn't it Reagan? I think was the last Republican governor. So they
Oh
will
man,
vote. Yeah, I think that was the
Arnold.
last.
They
It's
had Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger. That's gotta be the biggest joke I ever
oh,
heard
that's
about.
right. I forgot
That's
about Arnold. Yay,
Mhm.
Arnold! Yeah, I forgot all about Arnold. He did a good job, man. What are you talking about? He couldn't be president, mind you. I love when people are trying to get that thing to make him president. I'm like, no, and then we
He's
got
hit it. Arnold has. He's been back for it.
I liked Arnold. No, he wasn't governor of my state, so it didn't really matter. But I thought he was fun to watch, and somebody's got to explain something to me. Just a completely side note. So I seen some of the women that Arnold was supposedly screwing around with, and then I seen some of the women that Clinton was supposedly screwing. These guys that got money and power, why would you sleep with the ugliest broad you can find? I'm confused. I'm
Because no one would
just
confused.
sick
suspect him.
on
No one would think, oh, he's going to sleep with that. They would think, like you're thinking, Joe, like he's going after the top 10 model. It's easier to hide an ugly woman than it is the best looking woman.
It's
They have sex with the ones who are closest. They have sex with the ones who are closest to them.
well,
So I
convenience.
mean, the
That's
ones,
true.
the ones they
I
work
can
with.
imagine.
Arnold was with the nanny, right? Had a kid with her, And look at
I
Bill,
know a
Bubba.
kid with her. I mean, it's well. No, I'm just gonna leave that alone.
It's not
It's just,
easy
and
for them to go out and meet people. Maybe Arnold more than Bill Clinton because the president's got such a
he
microscope
was
on him.
sleeping with strippers. I'm like, I guess I didn't even know they had strip
Someone's
bars
got
in
to.
Arkansas.
Strippers need love too, Joe.
But if he was in New Orleans, I could understand. I didn't know they had strippers in Tennessee. I've
Yeah.
never seen a strip club
Some of
up
the bigger
there.
cities have them. Yeah, it depends on where you are.
I've been.
How do you think they get the paint off the car?
Hey, look, I'm just saying, I've never seen any up there. That's God's country, man. They don't like anything up there.
They
Uh,
do it in the
they
basement,
they barely let them down
in
here,
the
man.
church basement. They're down there.
While the bingo
Strip
game's going on, it's stripper bingo is what it is, huh? Did you paint little?
bingo night.
Anyway, we'll let that. We'll just leave that go altogether, people. Anyway, getting back to Afghanistan. So I'm thinking, all right, we're going to pull out of Afghanistan, and then I hear, okay, we're going to take this many. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm like, how many troops are we taking at first? Whoa, calm down here. Take a few troops here. Let's layer them out of there. Let's make sure nothing goes on. Leave some of the strategic bombers over there because we had what B-52s over there and B-1, so we got a carpet bomb the living shit out of the whole country if we wanted to. It's funny. I made this point to a friend of mine. He's talking about Iran. I said, you do realize that we have enough B-52s that we can line them wingtip to wingtip and make 2 rows and completely carpet bomb any country in the Middle East. I said, that's how many of them we've got. And I said, we just fly over. And I said, each one can carpet bomb around 2 to 3 miles. I said, so think about what you're talking about here, man. I said, we just go over the country, watch it go to dust. I said, we can do that to just about anybody we wanted to these days. And I said, the ones we can't, like Russia and China, we got special weapons for their asses that attach to the B-50, to the B-2s. I mean, the B-1s. It's funny, though, because this plays homage to something Mike and I was talking about a couple of weeks ago. So Putin comes out. He's asked, are you scared or do you fear America or Biden? He said, I do not fear Biden. And matter of fact, he giggled like a little schoolgirl. I never heard Biden laugh like that before. And then he said, well, what about, and the guy looked at him and said, what about Trump? You seen this stare come over his face? Like, well, Trump was different because he was unpredictable. And, doing the wrong thing, he might feel the need to blow us up. That's just how he said it. And it's funny because Xi Jinping said that just right after Biden won. They said, well, I'll take a deep breath now. He said, because with Trump, you never knew he might invade our country or blow up our islands or something like that. He said, with Biden, none of that's going to happen. So this is how sure these 2 world leaders are that under Biden, we're not going to do nothing but stick our fingers up our ass.
Mm-hmm.
And that just scares me right back because you know what that means. Anytime we got a weak president, like, I hate to hate on Jimmy Carter because he's a Southerner, but they just go on a rampage and start spending money and expand. The problem is right now that they can't really expand anymore. If the South China Sea expands too much more, they're going to get into it with Japan and Philippines, which of course are protectorates of the United States, which means we have to get involved. But worse than that, Taiwan officially asked for backing from the U.S., and the State Department sent a letter and said we would protect Taiwan from China. So we just basically, I'm confused with Uncle Cracker because I know his family's involved in China with money. But every chance he gets, he slaps the piss out of China. So they asked him if he was going to take the sanctions off of China that once Trump, and he said, no, I'm going to add more. I'm like, really? I said, every now and then he likes a Trump policy for some reason and keeps it. So he did. He added more. And then basically we just told him, no, you're not going to screw Taiwan over. We're not going to let you. And recently Britain said that they're starting to feel like there was a bad deal with Hong Kong and maybe China should give it back. I'm like, okay, that sounds like World War III there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah. I'm sending Mike to live to Hong Kong when that happens. You bet it now. Because think about it. Most Chinese, I think the average height's around 5'5" these days, 5'6". In the old days, it was 5 foot. There's Mike 6'5". He'd be like, hey, well, I can see over everybody. Which is Mike. Is anything coming? Let us know what's
That's
over
the
ahead
old
of us,
days.
man.
I'm only 5'9". I can
now,
see over
man.
everybody over there.
The Chinese are tall now. Since they got a taste for meat and cheese, man, they're boom. They sprouted up. Come on,
but
the tallest guy in the world is Chinese.
I wonder who that is. Tallest guy in the world I seen was a black guy. He was almost 10 foot.
That basketball player, remember him?
No, I don't remember. I have to.
You probably gave him, shot him up.
Most
with
all the
growth
Chinese people I
hormones.
meet are usually shorter than I am, and I'm only 5'10". So
that was like an experiment right there.
Yeah, they were probably.
I'm going to say something really unpopular, though. And no one's going to like what I'm going to say about Afghanistan.
Wait, move your head or something. You're breaking up, or you're not breaking up. You're max headroom, actually.
What?
I said you're max headroom. Move yourself around or something. You're not getting a good signal.
Oh, okay. How's that?
That's much better. I couldn't hear what you're saying before. I could hear you, but it wasn't making any sense. It was jibber jabber.
I was eating a hamburger.
All right, Mike, you can't
Aside
be
from
eating while you're on
that,
the air, man. Get off the damn
a
food.
cheeseburger. All right. So aside from that, Afghanistan, I really don't feel bad for anyone because one, all the people there knew what was coming. Number two, the people there who are basically they're Americans with a small a. You know what I mean? And the ones who are so clinging to the plane and whatever, these may not be the people you want living next to you. I mean, these are people who have been military manipulated and they're whatever. I'm just saying, save women and children, get them out first. They should have been out 6 months ago. They knew what was going to happen. They knew the clock was ticking. Why wait until that final moment? And then, of course, knowing the Taliban, they're going to make the grand slam. They're going to come in. They're going to, pose in front of all the stuff and take it over. Right? It, they knew it was coming. Obviously, we knew it was coming.
Because we
We're not
broadcasted
military
it.
analysts. We're not intelligence. You know what I mean? We knew it was coming, so I don't feel bad, man. And when like, oh, it's desperation. This is a Biden blunder. They didn't do it the right way. Obviously, all those people should have been out of harm's way. All that military equipment should have been gone. If you're going to scale down, sometimes it takes 5-6 years to scale down.
No
It's not
doubt.
it's not such an easy thing. But to pull out all at once made no sense at all, and that's the essence of this administration. But he's blaming
But,
Trump. Biden's
but,
blaming Trump.
but nobody's believing him because Trump had a plan to pull out over 4 years. So trying to blame Trump just makes him look like a big idiot. And Trump had nothing to do with how he took the troops out of there. And Trump's not the one that let the leader go of the Taliban. That was Obama and him. So, when he says
Biden
stuff like that,
acts like a fool. He acts
he
like
is
a
a fool.
fool. He acts like the old guy at the club. Like when
I
I was
don't
in the
think it's an
club
act.
days, man. There was
It's
always
not an
like a
act.
really there was
He's a
always a
really
really old
bad.
guy that would come in and
Yeah.
hit on the young girls, man. He's creepy like that. He's creepily creepy. So
Well, you seen him the other day.
whatever.
What was it? Like 2 weeks ago, that little girl signing the thing, and he's all say this is the girl's head, right? So he's all like, I'm like, Jesus, man, we got the. He's the first pedophile president, at least the first open pedophile president we've ever had. I was thinking, well, maybe he might do something, maybe this, maybe that, but he's every day he's in office, he makes Trump look good. I'm like, Jesus, dude. I said,
Look
you
at
don't
his
want to hate on
son.
Trump.
Look at Hunter, man. Apples don't fall
Yeah,
far from the tree, do they?
Mm-mm.
he's just I don't know, man. He needs to get his shit together. And then so you hear Kamala Harris last week. She's all touting how it is and how things are and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and how the Afghans are going to kick ass. And then all of a sudden you don't see her anywhere, anywhere. I
Because I
mean,
think they're setting the stage for Biden to come out saying, I made a huge mistake and I'm going to resign. You know what I mean? And let Kamala move up because that's their intention and plan the entire time. Just for that when he got to a certain point, he's out the door. And
oh
then
well,
she
they'll
comes
definitely
up
do a
cackling.
25th. Yeah, they'll definitely do a 25th Amendment on Kamala. They're not going to let her
They're
take
going to need her in
office.
there for a couple of years if they're going to run her against anybody who comes along, Republican wise. Because
Yeah, nobody
otherwise, they're
can.
just going to come in and boom.
There's nothing they can do. I mean, if she gets in, they've lost the next election for sure.
She'll have no
They
chance.
she's done. I mean, she only pulled 2% of the vote last time, so she's just it would be a waste of time for them. And I don't think the Republicans or the Democrats are going to go for it. I think they're going to do a 25th Amendment, do a vote of no confidence, and then you know who takes over after that.
Yeah. Secretary of State's next after that, isn't
That's
it?
right. Nancy Pelosi takes over.
Oh God.
So until there's a next election, and there will be a forced election because they'll basically null and void the other one. So they'll have to be now. They could, if they do a 25th on both of them, then technically Trump could come back and be president. Which I don't know why we'd do that. And whoever just sent me that Trump's going to run in 2028 and 2024, you mean he might? I don't know. I seen the
Hey,
polling
man,
numbers. He could do it.
I think he's already announced that
this is
he's going
just
to.
this is just the beginning of his administration and of a whole bunch of other things, just like this new COVID variant running around. These guys have reacted so slowly that is jeopardized a lot of people's lives and or longevity. As to what he's doing to them. But it just shows you that they're not in step. They're not paying attention, and that's not coming from a Republican point of view or anything. I'm saying this is what I just see out there, and they're so fake and phony. These guys, you know. do you really think Biden can handle an emergency? I don't think he can.
I don't think he can handle going to the bathroom by himself. But
These are
we're in trouble.
relatively minor things. I mean, what a real emergency? Somebody hits you hard, boom, and you have to react, and then you have a bunch of generals in there that are going to be looking for orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by I don't know. I don't know. Let's have a committee. Let's put a committee together and see whatever. Just like they're making deals with those other countries, so they can play that South Sea. Once they have enough of them aboard, then they'll do it. You think Biden will actually challenge him? I don't think he ever could or would.
I think Biden is just keeping the seat warm until the next election. And if Trump runs,
he is not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He is not a serious man. He is not a serious man. You guys know that about him. You can listen to him. He's just a kind of like the douche in the back room making fart noises. He's that kind of guy. I'm not a Trump lover, but Trump was a serious man. I mean, so was Bill Clinton. He was also a serious person.
Yeah, he was.
They had their lighter side, but they weren't like these idiot goofballs. Trump was right when he said Obama took Biden off the trash heap and made him the vice president. He needed that contrast, as it were. But now you have this guy as president, and I'm sure
Yeah.
he's shocked every day that he won. That every day he wakes up saying, "Oh, I can't believe it." You know what I mean? But we're in trouble, man.
It's no, we're in big trouble. I don't know how we're going to get out of this until we got 3 years before we can change.
Hills,
well, we do have some options. So if something happens to Biden, if there's a health crisis and Kamala steps up, they'll impeach her.
Options. We can't even go to Canada anymore. That's messed up, man.
Yeah, we can go to Canada. What? No, actually, we can go to Canada. Canada
we can't go to Canada or Mexico.
Yeah, we can go to Canada. What are you talking about? The Canada border's been open for a while now. That's the problem. So if you go to Canada right now, but you got to fly in, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to Canada. You can fly into Canada, stay for as long as you want. The problem is when you decide to come home, you may have to quarantine for 14 or 20 days or something.
And pay them, at their facility, not even like a nice hotel.
Yeah, you can't be at your house or something. No. So, but you can fly into Canada right now, go have a good time. And of course, they're going to ask you for your Vax card when you get there.
Does anybody have a good time in Canada? I think that that statement kind of just hit me hard. A good time in Canada.
Well, Canada's
If
a
you're
great
looking for
place to go
Bigfoot or
hang
something,
out, man.
maybe.
You got to love the
Bigfoot
Canadians. Canadians are a lot of fun.
Why?
Because
I find the guys very, as a matter of fact, the women are. I find Canadian men to be very, very weak. I don't know why.
Okay, you're breaking up again.
It's that Justin Trudeau.
Well, Justin Trudeau he is a wimp.
He would have gotten beaten up in my neighborhood.
I noticed that with Canada guys, you got they're like Americans in a lot of ways. You got some really tough ones, and then you got a lot of kind of laid back.
Name one tough Canadian, Joe. One tough. Keep in mind,
one of my favorite
bands, Rush.
Dudley Do
One of my favorite bands, Rush.
Dudley, kick your ass, Mike.
Rush is from Canada. I love Rush, but I don't paint them as masculine type of dudes. It's a band. But just tell me one. The Rock?
We just did, man. There's a lot of guys from Canada. Look, I guarantee you, all the
Star
Mounties
Trek,
kick your ass.
Tell his name, Captain Kirk, man. William Shatner. He's from Canada.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Shatner's not from Canada. He's from Ohio.
He is. He was a dentist, man. Dude, he was a dentist in Canada.
You're on crack.
A dentist.
You're on crack.
No, he was a dentist.
Kirk,
I can't even
William Shatner's been an actor forever, man.
William Shatner was a dentist from Montreal.
He wasn't from Canada. He's a matter of fact. I used to broadcast from his home city in the United States, where he was born and raised at. That's Iowa. That's where it was. It was in Iowa. Yeah, he's corn-fed. He's as American as you can get, man. He's the heartland.
1931, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Bill Shatner.
Where was he at?
That's where he was born.
Wrong again, Joe.
Oh, well, that's what they say. They say all the time he's from Iowa.
Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk is from Iowa. No, you're right.
The
Captain
actor is from Montreal.
Yeah, that's right. It is Captain Kirk. It is Captain Kirk. I just realized it when he said that because that's how they intro the show from
You're
the
having
home.
television flashbacks, man.
The home, no, because Wake Up USA. That's how they used to open his show, from the home of Captain Kirk, and that was in Iowa. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
god.
yeah, that's what it is. Because I remember Kirk from his first time I ever seen William Shatner was in the Twilight Zone, the one on the
Yeah.
air when
Yeah,
he's on
me
the
too,
airplane
man.
in black and
That
white. I
creepy
mean, that's
pig face looking through the
that's
window.
way, yeah,
The
that was
Gave me
way
Bigfoot.
back in
nightmares
the
for like
day.
3 months.
Yeah,
Nightmare
but
material, man.
yeah. Oh no, Ginger, no, it's true. If you listen to Wake Up USA, that's how he opens it up. Jeffrey, who does the opening, because he lives in Riverside, Iowa. He said from the future home of Captain Kirk, Riverside, Iowa, and he's right. But that's not where he was born. It's not where William was born.
It's where Darth Vader was born, I think.
Yeah. When you got to correct things, you got to correct things, people. You can't just argue about things when you're wrong. I mean, that's stupid.
I'm
Six
not
officers
wrong.
indicted in Maryland accused of falsifying police reports to collect insurance money. Michael, see, them Yankees are
Oh,
just bad. Look at y'all up there stealing money. I heard, oh man, so wait, I'm confused. So y'all's last three governors ended up in corruption. One of them ended up in jail, or was the insurance guy that ended up jail?
mm.
So y'all had three. Man, it's bad up there. I thought corruption was bad down here.
The
Shit, I
last
don't know.
governor was Elliot Spitzer, who actually stepped down because of a sex scandal because he was with all these prostitutes, right? That was a pretty
Oh
big
man,
deal. Andrew Cuomo was his general at the time, but then he was replaced by his lieutenant, which was that idiot Patterson, who, the guy just was horrible, and like a lot of these governors, like second in command, he was horrible. Before him was Pataki, and people liked Pataki generally. I mean, he was Republican. He made a lot of weird, promises like to the indigenous people and all that, which never came through. And on, just clean up everything. And then before it was Coleman, so you didn't really have a lot of like they've been there for a long time. These guys, they're in there like herpes. So
yeah,
now
but
you got
that's how
this
it
new
happens. They
lieutenant
get stuck
governor.
in it. Yeah.
She's a ball breaker, but she's funny. She's like, I didn't know about anything that was said about Andrew until after the investigation. How could she not have known? We all knew. It was in the media
She's
for
a
two and a half
liar.
years.
And what do you expect? She's a governor. Now she's gonna lie her ass off.
Right. And then she said that
That's
she
just,
won't run a toxic office. She won't want to have a toxic office like he does. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
so
funny.
she was aware there was problems, but she didn't say anything about it. But she's got crazy eyes, man. That's another reason to leave New York State. Anyway.
So let me ask you a
Governor with
question.
crazy eyes.
Do you think she'll get reelected when the time comes?
I think that New York is effed like not for nothing. While this happened, there's a huge pandemic going on. People becoming sick, things growing. They have a huge budget gap in New York State. In my county alone, Tompkins County, upstate New York, not long ago there was 110,000 people in the county. I mean, like 5-6 years ago. Now there's 95,000 people in the county. We lost 15,000 people for an upstate county. That's a lot of people, man. That's a big chunk. Those people have left the state. The ones I know who lived here 20, 30 years, they grew up here. They're going to South Carolina. They're going out west. They're going down to Florida. They're leaving for greener pastures where that money's going to go further. New York is mismanaged. The Southern Tier, when I first moved up 25 years ago, there was IBM, Endicott Johnson, all these huge businesses, right? That very same year when I came up, you can call it the curse of Angley, that IBM laid off 5,000 people right before Christmas, then another 5,000 people like the week before Christmas, Endicott Johnson went under. All these businesses lost tens of thousands of jobs, right? New York, try to keep from that. Southern Tier sat like that for all this time. Now you have Amazon opening up a plant. Best Buy has a distribution center there. There's a casino, bull crap. But I'm saying, you don't have there was supposed to be money put aside for economic development in these areas. They put their billboards up. This is a white zone. This is this zone. This is that zone. But they did nothing, and those people suffered, and they couldn't even get jobs. So now, what the Southern Tier is? It's full of meth capital of the New York State, man, Tioga County. Like these places that they're known for dog fighting and people, these terrible domestic disputes. These people living in their poverty, and then this is what they've wrought, right? You think it's not like that? Oh,
But
that
it's weird
there's a
because
level.
they were saying Buffalo might become red this year, and they're saying half of New York City might vote red this year. So I
People have
don't
had
know.
it.
They
They've had
tired
it.
of it. Yeah, well, they're tired of it. Well, what's funny to me is didn't the governor election already happen? Because I thought it. No, maybe it hasn't happened yet. But I thought it did happen. Maybe now I might be getting confused with something else. But I know there was a new governor race going on. I guess maybe they haven't had it yet because I don't remember hearing a winner
In
or
two
whatever.
years, they just started. He just started collecting
No, not
money.
governor, mayor. I'm sorry, mayor, not governor. I apologize. Mayor, not
Oh yeah, the
governor. The
mayor.
mayor of New York.
Because De Blasio must be laughing his ass off, dude. He hated Como, man. They hated each other. It was out there. Imagine you sitting De Blasio. De Blasio's got to leave anyway because they can only serve a certain amount of time as
Yeah,
mayor of New
2 years,
York.
right, or 3 years.
But
Yeah.
but you got that other dude, the math dude. He's running, man. People seem to like him. What do you think of him?
I don't know. I've only seen two candidates, and both of them seem to be well compared to Desvalgia, they seem to be lackluster because he's so bold and out there. And maybe it's time for New York to quiet down a little bit. I mean, New York used to be the largest thing in the country. Now what? It's third. No, it's fourth now in falling. So New Yorkers, y'all got to get it together, man. Y'all went from number one to number four, and now you're number two in move outs, right behind
I
California,
don't
who's
know,
number
man.
one.
I think Andrew Yang could win. I mean, people like him. He's a
Well, we
numbers
get closer
guy.
when we get closer to the race, we'll have to do a special on it. Maybe get in
He's a moderate. He's not really one of those
what a
dippy
moderate might get in.
libbies.
Well, you know
You know,
what? We'll know AOC seats up in 2022, right? Because it's every 2 years for the House, so we'll know how they vote. If they vote moderate on her, the whole state's going to vote that way. So it'd be nice to see this New York go purple for a change. It hasn't been that color in a long time. And it don't necessarily have to be red, but purple would be nice.
New York
And
lost its
people,
power, dude. These offices are gone. That was the power of the city. No, I mean it was
yeah,
the
it was.
financial district. There's offices. People can work from wherever. That's what they're doing. They're leaving. They're working from wherever. They're telecommuting. It's a great way of life. Not to
Well,
have to go into an office.
why don't you ever hear anything about Pittsburgh? No, Jimmy, I was just talking about that. Pittsburgh, you never hear anything about. Philadelphia, you do. Oh my God, you hear about Philly every damn day, but Pittsburgh, because the rest of Pittsburgh seems to be sane, and Philadelphia seems to be insane.
Because
Uh,
Pittsburgh is an enigma to people, man. They don't realize the true Pittsburgh's actually cool. I know a guy who's a special effects genius, and he
what the
lived
hell?
in Pittsburgh. But they have a great biscotti shop in Pittsburgh, man. Beautiful downtown. It's one of the most polluted cities in America. In the top 10 is number
Yeah.
10, I believe.
It's a, it's a
Aside from
pretty
that,
dirty city. Yeah, I've been through it a few times. It's pretty nasty.
it's cool. You know what? It's there's some cool parts to it though. It's Pittsburgh. It just has a
Well,
horrible name.
it's funny because
Pittsburgh.
a good friend of mine. What the hell's wrong with this cam? A good friend of
They got,
mine.
dude. Pennsylvania's got the weirdest. They got what it was, intercourse, Pennsylvania. I love that
Yeah.
intercourse.
Hey,
I mean,
they
they
got to
got
have their
like
names. They
just
got to
think,
have their names.
yeah, but think of the names. It's like in New York, got a lot of Native American names, but Pennsylvania's kind of just
It
name
is a
it by
pretty big
whatever
thing.
slack jawed yokel found the place. Shit's
Yeah.
Creek, man, like that TV show.
It's I mean the whole it's just a weird place because it voted red the first time for Trump and damn near voted red this time around and now they're
I
saying
don't
there's
know
voter
how.
problems up there.
I don't know how.
Well, I know.
You know what? When
Oh, I do because the
I
majority
drove,
of Pittsburgh is Republicans. It's
I,
just Philly that's blue.
But isn't that
It's
crazy that you could have Pittsburgh and Philly have these Democratic deposits? I mean, when I drove through there, when I was driving out west, I drove through basically the whole state of Pennsylvania. It was Trump signs everywhere. There was three
yeah
Biden signs, and they were denouncing Biden. Biden sucks and whatever. Seriously, there wasn't any kind of Biden support until you got to the Pittsburgh area, Altoona, and that type of area. And then you saw a couple of Biden
yeah
signs,
it's
mainly, and it wasn't just Trump signs. These were homemade signs on their pickup trucks, these huge things hanging from cranes. There was enthusiasm behind it, where Biden had no enthusiasm.
yeah
It was
and everybody
just a
says the same thing.
mechanical
No,
machine.
nobody. I know the specialists they were talking about. So what they did was Trump was smart about this, or Trump's people were smart about this. So they went to European analysts and said, "You analyze this election and tell us why we lost." So as the Europeans, they used 4 different agencies over there to analyze Trump's election. So they had the same things. Trump pulled the largest black vote ever in history for a Republican, largest Hispanic vote ever in history, Republican, largest amount of people ever voting in an election for a Republican, and still lost by 3 million votes. So, and they lost in 5 states that he pulled big in the first election. So their conclusion was that he should not have lost the election. They can't find where, because Joe Biden's Hispanic and black votes were low. They weren't at 88% because Trump took 30 and 4. Took 22 in the black, and I think it was 36 in the Hispanic. It depends what source you go to.
Latino
be
community
honest with
was very proud for voting for
Yeah.
Trump in those large numbers.
They were.
Same for the
So
black community, because the younger generations see things for how they are. The older generations are so full of hate and race on all sides, white, black, whatever. I know some old black guys that are
they're
racist. Like
saying
you
the
wouldn't
white
believe, man.
independents is who put Biden in office. That's who they say
I'm
put him in.
saying,
The white independents put him in office.
see,
I
and
don't
this
know if
all
I
goes
believe
back
that
to
or not.
Bernie, man, because when Bernie was in it,
Feel the burn.
and yeah, I'm going to evoke Bernie, even though I don't like him, man, but I
Feel the
do
burn.
and I don't. But when Bernie was in it, when Hillary screwed him over, I actually thought he was going to come out at the DNC at their grand stage and say, "I want to count all these." I mean, face to face. If he was a real mensch, he would have gotten up there face to face with all those delegates. The ones all got head off, man. If he was in that race at that point, he would have won, man, because the independents would have voted for him. You know what? And I would have voted for him. Because even though he doesn't represent 100% of what I'm all about, none of them are going to. But I actually think that he would have done a good job. You know what I mean? I liked Ralph Nader, man.
You're all
And Nader,
communist now. Good job.
he's that's not,
man, see,
but yeah, I'm not into
I've
that.
talked about this before.
But
Air
there's
gets
a
thin
balance.
up north.
The executive doesn't do much but sign his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's not
the
heading
executive
off
can do a lot.
policy. He's not
No,
heading
he
off
can control
policy,
all
though,
policy
so
because he has the veto.
no.
He controls
I think
all
it would have been
policy.
all right for a short time. Yeah, for 4 years. That's a nice break from the mass
man.
corruption.
He's
Nice break
he's
from,
pretty.
because I don't think the guy was corrupt. I don't think he was commercially corrupt like all these other guys are. I don't think Trump was corrupt.
They're trying to put his wife in jail for corruption.
Trump,
You do know that, right?
White.
His wife's in big trouble for stealing
women.
money
That's
from
women.
them.
Do you know any?
Man, that's his old lady.
Women. They're gonna grab that wallet. Do you think they're not? Especially someone like her.
Now he's in trouble for making money off them T-shirts. That just tells you how weird our country is. So everybody's all behind Bernie when he made these T-shirts. Oh, he's donated charity, blah 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 blah. So AOC does the same thing. Well, AOC is in big shit. She might even get sanctioned for it. So then they turn on Bernie like, whoa, wait, she's in trouble. You in trouble, buddy? Which I'm like, the country is fickle, man. It is fickle like a pickle.
They can steal as much as they want, but can't sell a T-shirt, man, on the corner.
yeah. Well, yeah. See, that's a good point. Oh, you can do insider trading, which isn't illegal for Congress, by the way, but it's illegal for everybody else in the country. I mean, Martha Stewart. Come on, they put sweet little Martha Stewart in jail for 6 months. Now, because of that, her best friend now is Snoop Dogg. I mean, what the hell? Her and Snoop Dogg, they go bake cookies and smoke together.
She tried to drive. She chased her husband down that
ain't what
huge
you got
suburban.
In trouble for. Yeah, but that ain't what you got in trouble for. She got in trouble
she didn't get in trouble for that. She got in trouble for money.
Yeah, well, because money gets you out of that kind of trouble. But
no, that's
really,
his country, dude. It's money, dude. This country punishes you. You could go out and rape, murder, pillage the village, man. But a little bit of financial you messed up, you're gone. You're gone, and they have no problem putting people away for money.
Yeah, a lot of times they do because that's an easy way to catch people. A lot of times
they have no problem taking it from you.
They caught out.
They have no problem taking it from you.
Yeah, they caught him for tax evasion. They didn't catch him for murder. They got him on tax evasion. So it worked. You can't get him on the crimes. Get him on the money.
See, now today he wouldn't have got in trouble. He could have went and got one of them 10-year lawyers. Say, hey, I forgot to pay my taxes for the last 10 years, and took care of. He wouldn't be in trouble anymore. The country's a different place now. It's a weird. Well, look what they're trying to do to Trump's people. So you can't get Trump. They've tried everything to get Trump. The Southern District Attorney and has tried to get Trump in every way he could. He went after his taxes. He went after this. Even when he got his taxes, there was nothing there. And he should have learned from Rachel Maddow. So he's actually suing. Trump's actually suing the New York District Attorney.
It's harassment. But, they had nothing to base it on. They just didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. And
Do they do
like
that to
his lawyer
everyone? Do
said,
they do that to all those Wall
no,
Street
they don't.
bastards?
It's just they don't do it to every
Come on, man.
president. You don't see it.
It's
They don't see
harassment.
you going after Biden. If you started looking at Biden's taxes and his son, somebody'd be going to jail. So let's just be
Yeah.
honest about it. Trump always seemed like the guy who liked to be up with his money. So because if he was going to jail, it ain't going to be for his money. It's going to be for
Yeah.
something else. It's just the kind of guy, and he guaranteed he made sure. That's why he had them cheesy lawyer attorneys. If something went wrong, oh well, my cheesy lawyer did that. Ain't my fight. You see, his cheesy lawyer went to jail, which proves my point. The thing about Trump is if Trump wouldn't have been, how can I say this? If he wouldn't have been so boisterous, so outrous, he would have easily won the second term, and people would have liked him better because he was getting stuff done. I mean, gas had going down from $4 to $1.50 down here. The economy was fucking bursting all over the place.
Yeah.
Country was booming. People were happy. He was ending wars. He had already just started bringing troops home from all over the place. He was cutting the deal to get out of Afghanistan correctly. He had a good plan for the next 4 years. He's the one that got the vaccines going, not Biden. Then he had to admit to that. He
COVID
got
kicked his
called out.
ass.
Yeah, well,
If
COVID
COVID
kicked.
didn't happen under him, he would have won.
And if
Then,
the
and they
election,
used COVID against him.
but that's true. But if the election would have been just 8 months later, he'd have won because his vaccinations would have came in, and everything would have went the way he had it planned, and that helped Biden out in the beginning. But stupid Biden didn't follow it through, and here we are again. Biden should have been paying for the Delta variant, and you and I have talked about the Lambda many times, and I've yet to hear his administration talk. Now I've heard Fauci one time mention it, and they don't. You know why they don't want to talk about it? Because it was proven that it came from South America. That's how it got in our country, and they've recently proved that's where the Delta variant came in. So while we're on that footnote, in case you ought to notice, ladies and gentlemen, Biden's breaking a record this year for the most illegal immigrants to ever come in our country. He's already 200,000 higher than the closest year to us, which, by the way, was another Democratic president. But it wasn't Obama. Obama was actually hard on immigration. Most people didn't know that. He didn't want no South Americans coming. If you come from Africa, it was fine. He just didn't want you if you came from South America. So he discriminated against brown skin, not black skin. Yeah, whatever you want to think. That's just how he was. But in the end, he wasn't. But Bill Clinton actually let all kind of illegals into the country. But this Joe Biden guy, he's right now. They said he's at 1.7 to 1.8 million illegals coming in our country, unvaccinated, untested. Nobody knows who the hell they are.
Probably unmasked.
Oh, well, definitely unmasked. Well, just to put this in perspective, I was telling this to Mike the other day. So I go into my doctor's office, for a routine checkup, right? I'm getting ready to have this thing cut off my nose, and they got me on these drugs for this trigeminal nerve thing. So I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to the security guard because she's doing COVID test. I said, baby, I've never seen you do. She said, I'm not a nurse. I'm the security guard. So they got her out doing COVID. She personally, in 3 days, did 2,300 COVID tests, half of which came back positive. Half of which. So I asked her if she'd come on tape. She did. I got a clip with her, 15-minute clip with her. So earlier today, I was telling Mike about this. I've been putting together a little group of people because, I know if, being in the business, I've met a few people who are doing like Mike and Tracy. And I can't tell you all about it because some things, we just can't talk about. But I got them on the air with me today. We talked a little bit about what's going on in the heartland and in the South and out West. And they said, well, why aren't you interested in the North? I said, because I got a friend of mine in the North who keeps me pretty up to date. I said, matter of fact, he's the one that said, look, people, wake up, Delta's coming, and you ain't paying attention. And he was and that was 5 weeks before it went wild. I'm just telling y'all, people, it was 5 weeks before it went wild. So you might want to heed his warnings a little bit. But anyway, so I'm talking to him. We're talking about them. Yeah, it is. So we're talking to them, and we're talking about all the different things. So come to find out, ladies and gentlemen, and this is irritating. So in Louisiana, the hospital beds that we do have, which is about 33% of our max capacity, 30% of them are not from Louisiana. So they found this out in Florida as well. Almost 40% of the beds filled in Florida are not from Florida. Come to find out, Texas is almost 38%. California is closer to 50% of the beds filled are not from people there. They are right. They're unvaccinated. I can't argue that point, but they're not. They're either illegals or, most of them are illegals that are not from here because they're getting dropped off. These are cities that LA's been getting inundated with, I guess California figured they lost 3 million people last year. They'll replace it with 3 million illegals. Well, Unfortunately for Florida, they're bringing in COVID, and I'm not blaming the illegals for all the COVID because the guy said this cracked me up on the radio guy at one of the regular shows. I call, he calls me, he goes, "Man, no, they're saying 100,000 immigrants spread it all around the country," and I'm thinking, dude, there was 100,000 just in Texas alone. But I said, he going on and on about it. So I called in all calm and polite. And I said, well, look, I said, first off, at last figure I heard, I said, it's 1.5 million. I said, I can tell you live in New Orleans because you got the same coon ass accent that I do. I said, so look, dude, I said, you do know last week, 11,000 illegals were deposited in the city of New Orleans, 2,000 in Metairie, 5,000 in Baton Rouge. Now that's within 60 miles of each other. I said that's 17,000 unvaccinated illegals that were put into your neighborhoods and are walking around your city carrying COVID. I said, we now know for a fact that either one third to half of all of them that came here had COVID because only one of the idiots had it on the bus. But of course, that's all it took for every busload. And every time they got in the hotel rooms and got in groups, it was just spreading and spreading and spreading. So now it's
Delta
spreading
variant,
everywhere. Yeah, it's
the Delta variant,
very contagious.
70 to 80 times more infectious than the COVID people understood last year.
So
So that's a
after
lot.
and after I got to explain all this to the radio shows, man, you know a lot. So we do a lot of shows on this. I'm like, I said, so I just wanted your audience to understand that yes, not all the deltas being. I said the original delta and lambda was brought in the country through South America. I said they didn't bring in all the contagion; they just started the contagion. And stupid Americans that like to go out and party and go to this thing and go to that thing and want to be unmasked and spit on each other. That's where the rest of it came from. I said so, but in the end, if the border would have been closed, the Delta and Lambda would have never got into our country, and we would have this mostly under control. So the only person you have to blame for what's going on right now is Joe Biden. I said, you can get as mad as you want at whatever I'm saying, but everything I'm saying is based in fact. And I said, if you don't believe me, look it up online. I said, there's nothing I'm telling you that's not true. I said, we now know how many immigrants have been brought in the country, and we know what states they were deposited in. And every state where there's a high concentration of immigrants, there's a high concentration of the Delta virus. I said, look, I said,
But at this
numbers don't
point,
lie.
no matter who, what, people need to protect themselves, and when you're out there and someone doesn't have a mask on and they're hovering near you, they could easily be giving it to you. I mean, vaccinated people and unvaccinated carry
The
COVID.
mask thing.
So within a few weeks, we're going to be knee deep in it. Right now, it's just the beginning, and the beginning is pretty bad as it is. And it's going after the kids, you know. So I mean,
Well, here it's
before
starting
it
to
wasn't like
curve. Here, Florida and I forgot the other state. It's starting to curve, or it's starting to reach the plateau. So we've been seeing a downturn in cases every day now. Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia hasn't, but Texas. Only part of Texas is, which is weird. Well, I guess because Texas is so freaking big. So it's a weird thing right now. So we're starting to see it playing out. But Louisiana governor jumped on it right away. He said, "Look, everybody's putting on masks. I don't care if you like it or not. Their big fight right now because the teachers and a lot of the kids don't want to wear a mask. So there's a big fight going on in Louisiana that these people are refusing to wear a mask. And the president said he's going to come out and do a mask mandate, and like 30 states in the union gave him the bird finger. So look, people, I know y'all want to go for herd immunity, so you think we can get through this. And it might work if this thing wasn't constantly shifting and changing. I said, but even if you get herd immunity over the Delta, you're going to probably still get the Lambda. And, the more we talk about it, the worse it gets. Now, I know, Mike and I have talked about this in great detail, so you need to go catch some of the other shows where we've talked about this in great detail. Because I'm not going to break it down too much tonight because lately I catch flack for, like the CDC, Fauci came out and said, oh, it's not as bad as Delta. It's not as highly contagious. It's not doing as much damage. And Delta's kind of helping us to wipe it out. Well, I've heard that before. So I'm just saying, believe what you want. I'm going with Mike's determination on this. If he's wrong, I'll just pick on him for 3 weeks. That's just how it is on the network. When you screw up like I did, you're going to get picked on. That's part of being on the network here. But
I'm
still,
using the numbers and the data, and also
and
I have to use critical thinking and see where
well,
the spread is.
I've
Man.
been on
Right,
most of this stuff. I've been right with you. Yeah, I've been so I'm not. I haven't
well, right
really fought
now,
Mike on this. Yeah.
Delta is the dominant one, but now Lambda is starting off and it's got a good foothold in California. Lambda is apparently vaccine resistant, and not only vaccine resistant, it's 150% more
That's why y'all get the
likely
third
to
shot.
to shut down your immune system. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
That's why
it's
it's
it's like
funny
a
because
machine.
it is. So it's one of the things that makes you think it was built, not natural. But so this is
The
kind of
way it's
strange.
developing is very interesting.
So Pfizer and Moderna are going to give you the third shot. Now you can start getting it in September. Okay, so if you're one of the original people who
September
got it,
20th. Yeah.
if you're one of the old people or if you're one of the hospital workers, you can get it then. Everybody else, it's 8 months from your card date you can get it because they had to
Yeah.
admit that it is waning and they're worried about lambda, so they want your highest peak immunity. And from what I heard, there's a slight little change been done to the booster shot. So they're trying to go after lambda before lambda goes after them. But we'll see if it works or not. By September, I think it's going to be more infectious. I don't know if it's going to matter or not. So we'll have to wait and see. If Delta wanes down and Lambda comes up, we're what a month out. Well, we're 2 weeks out of September, so anything can happen in 2 weeks. We'll just have to wait and see. Um, I've got partial immunity because I've had COVID. I've also got the Johnson and Johnson. Johnson and Johnson said they're looking into it, but so far their vaccine seems to be holding up well, and they may not need a thing. And they're the first ones that went out and tested it against Lambda, and so far it's doing good. But before anybody gets all excited, it's only a test group of hold on, let me find it. 105 people. So it's holding against them 105 people. We don't know who they are. Maybe they have really good immune systems. We don't know. When you get into these selected studies, you got to hope they're being honest with us. So far, the J&J seems to be, but last I heard from COVID, what was it, Mike? 69%, something like that.
For
Yeah, it's
for
just
what?
for the Johnson Johnson vaccination. For most of the COVID,
Oh,
it's been 69%.
eh,
It's
Johnson's
really
like
more about not killing you.
55 to 62 last time I
Yeah,
heard. But you can't
right.
really tell. You really can't tell. I mean, it's hard to quantify something like that. It's only
And
all right.
and
Someone's sick. Let's say someone's sick. They're symptomatic. They're messed up. Oh, what vaccine did you get? Oh, Pfizer. And then when you hear enough of that, then you kind of have an idea. But I mean, Moderna and Johnson, they all have breakthrough infections. The biggest fear is that people who are fully vaccinated can also carry and then spread it to other people, no
well,
matter
they know
who.
they can.
Young
Yeah,
and
they already
old.
know
And
that.
the older people are, even if they're vaccinated, they're immune compromised. That doesn't help them. And it's also the viral load of Delta is so huge and so heavy, it overwhelms the system. And this is why people have the breakthroughs. But if you have the vaccine, they have a really high number that you'll survive. You know, uh, I don't know because if you have the vaccine, they're saying that you most likely will end up in the hospital or die or whatever. But it's also hard to count those numbers too. And it's also hard to say, okay, here's a group who's unvaccinated, here's a group who's vaccinated. Expose them at the same time. The exposure rate and who gets sick and who doesn't get sick is so random. You know what I mean? It's very hard to count something like that.
Well, I
So
mean, also the
we'll just have
CDC
to
also
wait and
is.
see.
But the CDC isn't taking any accurate numbers, as far as I understand. What they're when
Not
they're
anymore,
testing
they
people
might.
for COVID, they're not trying to discern between COVID and the flu. So if those people they test have the flu, which seems to me that the flu must flag out as COVID as well in this test, and they're not discerning whether they've got COVID or the flu. There's anyone who tests positive, they say, "Oh, this is COVID," without testing to see if that virus is COVID or is the flu. So if that's true, these numbers could be way skewed. The numbers of the death toll could be less, could be more.
Well,
We,
we,
we
we,
don't know
we
for
know the
that.
numbers are skewed because the deaths are so low.
Yeah.
Because by their own admittance, they're saying that 91% of the people who have gotten COVID are unvaccinated. But for some reason, the death toll amongst these people are much, 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 much lower than they were from the original COVID. So it's not that people aren't dying; they're just dying at a far less rate.
The
And when
Delta
that
variant is
happens,
not as
people get
deadly.
stupid.
It's not as
Yeah, it's
deadly, but
not.
it affects your organs. It could give
It
you a
does if
30,
it's not taken care
40%
of
lung
fast.
reduction for the rest of your life. It could go after your kidneys, send you on dialysis. I mean, it could go after your liver. But now the Lambda is way more deadly. The Lambda came from South Africa originally, and then it
Yeah, it
got
came
together
across.
with another variant. So now it's very deadly and very infectious. And it's interesting the CDC said there's nothing to worry about. 9 weeks ago, they said the same thing about Delta. Nothing to worry about. Last year, in late March, I saw Redfield came out from the CDC. Nothing to worry about when it comes to COVID-19. It's not going to affect America, and it was already here. Nothing to worry about. Right. So every
Yeah,
time
and
I say
it's
nothing to worry about, you should worry.
Yeah, if we would keep our damn borders closed for a while, it wouldn't have nothing to worry about. We'd have got over COVID-19 pretty quickly, with the 18 months. I shouldn't say quickly, but
If people
no, we
really
got to go. We got.
barricaded, yeah, man.
Well, I don't
But they
understand
don't
anyway. I
want
mean,
to. Look at
Biden,
Sturgis,
Biden,
man. That just happened. 700,000 people. They don't want to. They're proud
but
to
that's what I
be
mean
out
because they,
there.
they did it the first time, but Biden let them down and now they're not going to because they don't trust anybody anymore. So if he would have stuck to his guns and kept the borders closed and if he kept all the borders closed, I mean, remember this, ladies and gentlemen, this is important. Biden had every border closed in this country but the southern border. And the southern border was closed to legal people, but illegals could come through. But if you tried to get into this country any other way, you were turned away for 7 or 8 months. And all of a sudden, that whole entire time, he was letting illegals in with COVID. Don't think these people weren't traveling up. These people were living in big tenant areas. They were living in big housing areas. So you guaranteed a lot of these people had COVID as they came to our country. And we know that from Trump's era because they were treating them and testing them and giving them shots. But for some reason, Biden said, "Oh, we don't need to test them. South Americans are immune to it or something." What? I mean,
Yeah.
what? I mean, what the hell is that? I mean, what kind of crack are you on? I mean, why would you let that many people into our? I mean, what do you want to lose the next election? Because he's going to get blamed for this any way it goes. He can't blame Trump for this.
Brazil's
This is too late into
Brazil's
his
almost
country.
caught up to our numbers. I mean, we're number one in the world for COVID deaths. Brazil's right,
Oh
I
yeah,
think, 50,
Brazil's just having a
60,000
nightmare.
away. I mean, and that's just recent. Look at India. They had that explosion. They said that the leader of India said that they conquered COVID and they got the herd immunity and all this other stuff. A week later, they were in the middle of that huge pandemic, and then they got crushed from it, right? And then you know what? Lambda will get to them too. Then you have that fungus, that black fungus, which is now in D.C. and it's also in Texas. They found him in two different nursing homes and at one hospital with no connection. They had no connection, so it means it happened naturally by some effect. So that's something also people your immune system gets smashed. Let's say Delta hits you, right? And then Mayo Clinic says everyone will encounter the variant. You can't avoid it, right? And so let's say you get it. It doesn't even do anything to you, but it messes with your immune system, lowers it down. But then here comes Lambda, where you can't fight it off, and it's super deadly. It's almost like a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's if that medical group isn't right. They're saying that the Delta may wipe out. I didn't know this, but the Delta can eat on the Lambda. If it's in a body where a Delta virus comes in, it can actually thrive on the Lambda virus.
These scientists say
Mm.
This
the
is
Lambda
weird stuff.
variant is the most frightening one they've ever seen in their lives. Period. Not just
Well,
COVID 19, but the most frightening.
that's not true. There's diseases out there that make any of this shit look like child's play.
This,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
we'll see.
I don't understand why people are so afraid of this. I mean, the Spanish flu killed 50 million in its
yeah, I
run,
mean, I mean,
and an
there's
estimated
things that are.
zero
Yeah, I agree
claims.
with you, Jay. There's things
Just in
far
the
more deadly than
U.S.
any of that. I
Yeah.
mean, when it comes to disease
This,
infections, these guys are bad, but they're not even
the
in the
Spanish
top
flu was
10
a
yet.
bird flu. I mean, it's another thing that kind of flipped and went human
Yeah.
person to person. So variants can also go inert. You could have a scenario where
Yeah,
you
you
have a
can.
variant that's more contagious, but it doesn't hurt you as bad, and it just kind of goes inert. You know what I mean? So there's that too. But this seems to be uh, cascading up and getting worse as it goes. And I feel like there's a half life of another 3.5 years of these dangerous variants, and then it'll start backing off because nothing lasts forever. No outbreak ever lasts forever, but they do come back.
We wipe some stuff out. And if this is too
Not
irritating, somebody
really.
will figure it out.
Not anything that has an animal well. No, if the animals can take it, right now they're investigating the deer population, the white-tailed deer in the United
No, no,
States. Out of the 49 states these deer are in, more than half of them have COVID-19,
all
and they're
those
not getting
pox and
sick
all,
either. So how the hell did that happen? How did all these deer get COVID? It's not like deer and people hang out together. You know what I mean?
because
I
somebody
mean,
somebody somebody
th-
either buried something out there or somebody did it on purpose. You got to
I think
remember
it's in the
something.
air.
Look here,
I think
I'll
it's
help
in
you.
the air. I think when they burn bodies and the bodies have COVID and that smoke goes up into the air, those crystals they freeze, don't they? I don't know, man. How do you explain millions of deer getting COVID-19? There's
I
no
would think
explanation.
somebody did it on purpose. That would be the only explanation.
All
It would
49
be
states.
because this. You got to remember how
In all
companies work.
49 states.
You got to remember how companies work. So this is the reason why they want pregnant women to start taking the vaccine when they said no before.
There's a new
Remember,
conspiracy
they don't
coming.
want you. They don't want you to, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fact. They don't want you giving the vaccine to kids 12 and under. Period. Even though kids are getting COVID, they still don't want you giving this vaccine to kids 12 and under. But yet they're gonna let you give it to a mother who's got it's going to go to a newborn. Now, why would they do that? To save the mother? Yeah, maybe. But what's going to happen now? This COVID virus and this vaccine is going to get into the child and it's going to probably mutate on its own. They're looking for a sure kill, something that they can
They're
make way
they're
more money
saying
than they're making now on.
the mother's immune system should support, because then also it's not just that, when a woman's pregnant, their immune system bounces. It's huge, man. So, and that really the baby calls the shots, if you know about the whole scenario. But
Yeah.
it remains to be seen. But yeah, there's no trials. You don't have 10 years worth of trials.
Yeah,
You don't know what's going to happen, and what happens in a petri dish is not what happens out there in the real world.
well, it's not even that. I was talking to a guy the other day on the radio, or when a show I called into in New Orleans, and they're going on and on about the shot. I said, "Look, dude," I said, "I'm not anti-shot because I got mine." I said, "But let me ask you a question." I said, "Do you have a kid?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You got a child." I said, "So let's say your young daughter, she's an infant, she's 2 or 3 years old, and a company like Johnson Johnson or Moderna, companies that have had problems with other drugs in the past, comes out with an experimental drug and said, 'Let me give this to your child.' What are you going to tell them? You're going to tell them, 'F no.'" That's what
Yeah.
you're going to tell them.
No.
But you're willing right now to go ahead and get this virus. That's the same thing. It hasn't really been tested. It's less than 2 years old. I said most flu viruses go to 2 to 4 years before we even give them to the general public. You got to remember, people, in case y'all didn't realize this, we're constantly developing flu vaccines, and we're trying them out all the time, and we keep them in storage for anytime this particular breakout or something close to this breakout comes out. As a matter of fact, it's what J&J used in this, along with some COVID. J&J actually used real COVID and a flu virus to create the vaccine. That's why it's different for people. It's more like a true flu vaccine, and it works like a true vaccine. You're not being experimented on with CRISPR technology like you are with Pfizer and Moderna. Nobody knows what that shit's going to do to you in 5, 6, or 8 years. And let's be honest, how many drugs have the FCC kicked out after giving them formal FDA approval, and 10 years later, oh my God, these drugs are got to go. I mean, there's a myriad of how many drugs they've done this
Don't
with.
be bragging about Johnson. It's the same company that put asbestos in their baby powder.
Hey,
Gave
hey,
millions of people cancer, man. That's
they
not a
didn't know,
promotional bell
man.
ringer right there.
They didn't know. How did they know? But they all have gotten sued for something. All of them. There's none of them that haven't
Oh,
gotten
they
sued.
knew what was going on. They knew back in 1980, and they didn't care. They didn't care
Look
until
at
they got caught.
Pfizer giving out. Look at Pfizer was giving out drugs for dementia that was placebos. There wasn't nothing in them. They were
That
just
too,
like
and
saying,
opium. You got the opiates
I
that these
mean, when
companies
it comes
pushed.
down to these kind of things, the FDA gets fooled a lot, and we're the ones that have to brunt the
They don't
bullshit
get
of it.
fooled. Who do you think they work for when they leave the FDA? Man, they go into Pfizer, or they go into these companies. You know what? Same thing for the USDA. They go into the Cattlemen's Association. They go into these huge organizations, or the World Trade Organization if they big enough. They go into and they sell your soul. All these companies. I don't even like buying food from national companies, these huge
Mm.
conglomerates, because I don't trust them, man. It's all they're happy to give you poison. Look at cereal companies putting
It's not even
shellac
just
in their
drugs. I mean,
cereal.
look at these people that got
You know,
these mesh things put in for hernias and stuff that caused all kind of damage.
yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. All that little thing they do to keep
Got
the
one.
thing that they got the clot. They got those little things they put in there to break up the clot. Well, sometimes they break
Look at
off and get stuck
margarine.
and cause more damage.
Margarine's not even fit for human consumption.
It's
Oleo.
yeah, it's basically plastic. Man, it's good
It
Yeah.
was for
plastic.
Well,
It tastes good.
contractors. It was something they
you,
invented for contractors.
but you see it all the time throughout the food industry. I mean, years ago, it was Taco Bell got caught for using corn that was not fit for human consumption. It wasn't even fit for cows. If you couldn't even feed it to cows and pigs, they were using it to make the taco shells that were sold in the grocery stores. Also, several years ago, Pizza Hut was caught using silicone to cut it into their cheese so their cheese would go further. So they're using sand, basically sand, putting it in their cheese so they can make their buy more, make it go longer, and then sell their pizzas for more and make more money. So no matter what kind of industry you're in, someone's always looking for a shortcut. Period.
Oh yeah.
Well, so look at Subway with the tuna fish now saying that they did a test. There's no tuna in the tuna fish, and they're like, of course there is. And who do they put in their commercials? That Rapinoe, the soccer player. It's horrible, man.
Right.
I would never
look at McDonald's. McDonald's has a milkshake. How much milk is in their milkshake? Anyone want to take a guess?
None. It's no milk.
0% milk in their milkshake. It's two powders. It's a chemical process. They put it in this machine with water, and it turns into like an ice cream like substance. And then they actually sell little milk cartons. How much milk is actually in their milk cartons? Anyone want to take a guess on that? 2%. So their milk is 98% not milk.
Well, it's like Subway's tuna that don't have tuna in it.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing in it. It's fillers, and they might even be using now. I wouldn't be surprised if they were using like that synthetic crab stuff that you can make it to taste like anything. You can make it taste like crab or shrimp or tuna or chicken, whatever.
It's a strange thing. It's like when I typed in how many drugs have the FDA. I mean, they've effed up a lot, and then then somebody asked a question: have the FDA ever approved drugs that had to be taken off the market? And they said, yes, unfortunately so. And sometimes the FDA doesn't make the correct decision; it makes the political decision. That's actually written in the Google page, so it tells you right there that you're taking a drug that. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the FDA has not approved this drug. They gave it a special approval, but they have not actually approved it. They're like, why? Because they want to hold these drug companies liable. See, if something goes crazy right now, so if something goes wrong right now, it's on the drug companies. Once the FDA approves it, it's different.
It'll help your radio persona.
But you can sue them as long as it. Yeah, well, you can sue the bejesus out of any company right now, as long as it's not been approved by the FDA. Once it's approved by the FDA, you can only get X amount of money. That's the whole thing about vaccines. All those school kids and all the vaccines, because vaccines do screw up people. Whatever the vaccine is, there's always someone it hurts or kills or messes up.
Well, now they mandate it, so they're finding ways to. Right just now in New York, they mandated for all healthcare workers, which I think they all should have.
And you can sue over that. You can sue, but that's the problem here. You can sue over all of this stuff. In Louisiana, they've already started suing. It's going to take a couple of months, and they're going to lose, like New Orleans is going to lose, and they're going to have to take the mandate off. And then these owners who are putting people away are going to get individually sued. And it's going to probably put a lot of businesses out of business because it's a form of discrimination. You can't, and the main reason is why? There's two main reasons. One is just because you got the shot don't mean you're not carrying the virus.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't, just because someone's got the shot doesn't mean they're not asymptomatic and carrying the virus. So that's a form of discrimination its own. But unfortunately for them, the people who are not getting the vaccination are heavily Black and Hispanic. So you're discriminating against people of color because they haven't got the vaccination. So and every judge that's been talked about so far, and every attorney general that's been talked to have all said the same thing. You're breaking the law, knock it off. And of course, the governors and mayors are not until it's drug in the court and the court throws them out. But you see, then they should be held responsible for all the money after that. If you start making politicians responsible through their wallets, they'll start cutting out a lot of this bullshit. And that's what I think they're going to even start trying to do. Oh, I did see that the Senate did something good. They by one vote, they made it where no one in the government can fund, what is it? What do they call it? Racism? Oh shit! Now I forgot what it's called. But anyway, they won't fund it. What the hell? I don't know why it went out of my head. Critical race theory. That's what it is. They're not going to fund it. They said the government can't fund stuff like that. It's not really real, so they can't really fund it. I was surprised. They only got it by one vote in the Senate. You'd be surprised. I mean, some Republicans, some Democrats voted, but it shouldn't have been that close. It should have been much further apart. 1/3 of new drugs had safety problems.
People who eat cheese, yogurt, and chocolate every day have a lower risk of heart disease. Right there, man. Right there.
Actually, that don't be correct. It's dark chocolate. It's not milk chocolate. Milk chocolate people will kill you. Yeah, well, it's dark chocolate. Don't let them screw with you. It's only dark chocolate.
Protection with chocolate.
Yeah. So
Chocolate with
dark chocolate always helps you with
pistachios.
cancers too, but milk chocolate is bad for you. I'm sorry to say. Yes, it is. So one third of all new drugs certified by the FDA for approval are usually yanked.
Chocolate will kill you.
Milk chocolate, baby. That's dark chocolate's good for you.
It's better way. It's no better way
Yeah,
to
and my
die.
wife's in here telling us the way better way to go than dark. I'm sorry, with milk chocolate. She hates dark chocolate. There, she'll eat milk chocolate all day long. But yeah, it's saying one third of all drugs have problems and safety issues after being approved by the federal by the FDA, and at least a third of those cause death. So yeah, and then Trump made it worse because Trump told them you need to get these drugs out faster. So you know what
Look, we were
that
just
meant?
talking about Megan Rapinoe, and here she is in the headline that she bullied her teammates into kneeling for the anthem. She forced them into, and she controlled them emotionally, man.
No,
Yeah,
whatever.
right?
I know.
Taking
I know.
taking the
Last time I
knee.
seen him, I know. Last time I seen him, she took the knee, and a black girl was like, "Screw you! I'm not taking the knee." And she said,
Yeah,
I like my
most of them were
country."
standing, but like, a few of them took the knee. But you know what? It's like they play for the U.S. team. If they hate the U.S. that much, then don't play for the U.S. team. Then go. You know what I mean? But that's their grand stage. It's narcissism, and there's a generation out there that's all about them, and they don't see the greater good. They wouldn't help
Yeah,
anybody. They could care less. It's all about them, you know.
it's the Me Too
And I see her
generation.
in
It's
those
also
Subway
the
commercials
cancel
now.
culture
It
generation.
makes me hate Subway. Bad enough they had a child molester in there as their rep. Now they got this woman who, like, you know, she just kind of like hates America. She's always bad mouthing, you know, like foul language type of stuff. And I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, to each his own, I guess. But
Oh, look, Biden
if I'm
said all U.S. troops will stay until Americans are out of Afghanistan. Well, what about the Afghanis? Would it leave them hanging out
Subway
there?
sucks anyway, man. The other one's terrible too. That the whatever it is, all the national chain Subway places suck, don't they? You know, you got to go to the mom and pop. You got to go to that deli, you know, that's been there forever, or just people that some kind of, you know what I mean?
I see.
The Bonos. I got one of those subs. The bread was terrible, man.
I see
What's wrong
your
with it?
girlfriend Nancy's going to put y'all's infrastructure bill in jeopardy. She said she's
I
not
bet
going to vote
Nancy
on it.
make you a nice sandwich. How much you want to bet Nancy make you?
I bet you Nancy wouldn't
She
know how to
got.
make a sandwich if her life depended
Well,
on
come
it.
on, dude. She has like three chefs in her kitchen, man.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
might make you a nice sandwich, but she ain't making you
she snapped
squat.
those bony
But
fingers, and
no,
those guys
but
go and
for
they run.
serious, for anybody who's looking at this infrastructure bill coming for y'all, this 1.2 trillion. Well, Nancy said she's not going to vote on it until the 3.5 trillion one passes. Well, 10 of her own people in the House said they're not going to go, and three or four senators said they're not going to vote for it. They're not going after because you're talking about $5 trillion you're asking the American people to play, and when you look at the 3.5 trillion one, it's mostly stuff for the Democrats' friends. It's nothing more than that, and it's nothing that's really
I
going to
bet
change
if
America.
if Nancy Pelosi invited you over for dinner, that you would not leave hungry. I will bet that.
I would
I bet
not go. Actually,
If Joe Biden offered you come over, it'd be like one of those Swanson dinners. You know what I mean?
no, it'd probably be like Donald Trump
Not
getting
even
some
a
Burger
hungry
King or
man.
McDonald's or something. I still when they remember when they
McDonald's.
gave yeah I remember when
Joe
they gave
Biden's a
Trump that
McDonald's
McDonald's.
guy. You could tell he's a McDonald's guy
You remember when
because that
Trump
was like
gave
the
Fred the
first.
basketball
Think about it
team
when
McDonald's?
when Biden was young, that was like the first burger place, like national, like McDonald's was a family
No, it
thing. I mean,
was
he lives in
not.
the past. He
It
lives
was
in the
not.
past.
It was
Hell yeah.
man.
When,
You must not have been around for Hoppers and stuff, man. They were long before McDonald's. Um,
dude, I'm not that old, man. I'm in the
you as
McDonald's
old
era.
as I am, dude. You as old as
But
I am, so.
you know what? McDonald's, KFC, all that was at the same time. Now that stuff is disgusting. As a KFC the other day, it was greasy and
Oh,
dried
I meant
out,
to.
and it was tough
We talk
and
about food
expensive.
anytime. I meant to
Yeah.
tell you about this the other day. So they're going after the Oregon mayor and the Oregon governor for letting them, and to Seattle for letting them take over the town. You know, they're going to make like criminal law actions taken after them. They're going after the Oregon mayor for getting in the way of the federal troops. He said that's a federal crime. He should have never done that. And then I didn't know that by him getting on federal property while it was being protected, that was another law he broke. They're going after it. And they said, And then they want an entire investigation into the police department, the government, everything. So Nancy now doesn't have a choice. Since she's going after the June 6th people, she's going to have to go after any of these things that went on in any of these cities now. So that means she's going to have to go hate on BLM, and it's not going to bode well for the Democrats. I mean, it's not boding well for
Democrats
them now,
have
but
they have an illustrious history of turning on each other. So, no
that's
doubt,
where they're headed right
no
now.
doubt. Ask
Well,
Epstein.
look at there's your other girlfriend,
Hmm.
Elmar Omar. How this woman is not in jail is beyond me. This chick has broke all kind of laws, man, and for somehow she's staying out of jail. I mean, her brother. At first, she was married to her
What'd she do?
brother. I mean,
What'd she
first,
do
but that's
now,
illegal. You can be
man?
married to your brother in your country.
Very,
Last
very
thing she was doing,
kinky.
she was vote mandering for somebody else, vote mandering for somebody else, and then they said she fixed the jury for another group, and they keep bringing charges on, and somehow they just don't stick.
I gotta say this
And
though, man. There's some stuff that she says I don't disagree with, and I'm being honest about. I know I'm not gonna hate on someone because I don't do that, man. Do I think that she should be a representative? No, I think that she's tilted on one side in her mind politically, and she favors some groups over others. She really hates Jewish people, and you can't represent America if you hate Jewish people. There's just things there's qualities you have to represent people. You know what I mean? But she's out there publicly saying it. But I mean, the way she grew up and the way she sees things and whatever, she's got her opinions, and those opinions and beliefs. Opinions can shift, beliefs don't shift. So I mean, it's hard to deal with
so
someone
Biden's
like
got a
that.
new plan for you. He said he's going to let the how did you say it? Hold on, let me go see it. He's going to let the asylum officers and not judges consider cases for migrants. That just means we'll be 3 million in here instead of 2 million.
They're all coming to Louisiana and Mississippi,
Not
man.
anymore.
Mississippi
No, he ain't coming to Mississippi at all. The governor here said they would be arrested and
and
shipped out of the
I
country.
crooked letter, crooked letter.
It's
I hump
that's
back,
one thing.
hump
That's one
back.
thing about rednecks. They're not even going to play with that. They're not even going to let them in the state. And there's a couple of states that just flat out said, "You bring them here, we're going to arrest them and send them out."
There'd be a
Alabama
wall of
saying what?
rednecks across the highway.
Alabama was the same way. Alabama said, "You know what? No, they're not coming here. They're not legal. They're not coming and living in our state." Even Georgia, which is blue right now, said, "No, they're not coming in our state. Sorry." Louisiana Mayor Latoya, who's from Compton, California, said, "Oh well, we'll take a couple," and all of a sudden they drop like 11 G's on them. So 11,000 illegals, and New Orleans is not a huge city. So right now it's only 365,000. Biggest it's ever been is 600. That's now if you count the suburban area, it's like 2.5 million, but still, it's not big enough to absorb that many illegals. And we've got illegals still left over from Katrina. Every hurricane brings in a raft of illegals into our state. They come looking for work, roofing work, sheetrock work, whatever, but they come in looking for them. So, I was thinking, why would you do that? And they prove without any doubt at all that they're a big chunk of the COVID cases or spreading them around because they're all over the city out here doing this. They're looking for work, going in people's offices.
Well, yeah, they're looking for
It's
work.
just,
Part of our economy
yeah.
relies on those people. That's why you need
None of the
work cards
economy
and work
down here
programs.
does.
They need to be identified. If someone comes to the country and work, just make them legitimate, make them pay taxes, identify them. You know
Well,
what
they
I
used
mean?
to do
Much
that
easier to
until
control a
Obama got
situation
back
like
in.
that.
Actually, way back when Reagan was president, he set up a thing for migrant workers to come in and out the country. They just got a card and they could come in and go out, come in, and whatever seasonal thing they were
Yeah, work
working, they could
visas,
just come in. Yeah, they come and go, come and go,
temporary
come and
work
go,
visa,
and it was fine. And they had them for
and you
long
knew who
term.
they
But
were.
then the liberals came in and said that was discrimination of some kind. Still don't even know what kind it was, and went on to saying you can't do that anymore.
I mean, how is that wrong? I mean, you're selling a day pass to a migrant worker who doesn't live in this country to come in and do a job for a day or a week or a month, 3 months, and then go back. I don't see what the harm in it. It's more
Well,
harmful
it's
letting
like
undocumented just run across the border.
to me,
Without the COVID thing,
illegals and
we don't know. We
That's
don't
what
know
they
if they're
forced them to do.
criminal. We don't know if they're a pedophile or a rapist. We don't know if they
we
have
don't
escaping.
we don't know what they are.
That's why the
And
undocumented. You have him
and then
documented coming across the border. He comes in, he does trash pickup for 6 months, then goes back home. He's documented. We know what he's doing. We know his whereabouts.
Well, then Homeland outed Biden the other day. Biden said, "Oh, it's just families coming across, right?" And it's true in the daytime; it's mostly families. At night, the majority of people coming across the border are men in their 30s to 50s.
And
They
guaranteed
out
most of
and
them are criminals.
they probably are
Guaranteed.
criminals. A good chunk of them are, and
That's
they're
like
probably
me,
drug
man.
dealers. And
I'm gonna be smuggling straws from Nevada into California, man. I'm
actually,
a
right now they
coyote
say the
straw.
best thing to smuggle is babies. About $25,000 a baby. That's
I don't
insane.
want to mess with babies.
Yeah.
Straws, just plastic
Like I
straws.
said, he don't want to have to be
That's all.
changing diapers when he's crossing the border and shit.
I want nothing to do with babies. Zero,
Yeah. So
zero.
Congress poised to grill Biden officials on messy Afghanistan exit. They're going. So Biden, tried to sell it down on Trump. Then he tried to sell it on the Afghan people. Nobody bought any of that. So now he's throwing his general out to not his whoever he is out to the wind. Anything to keep him good. I can't wait to hear Mr. What's her name, Jen. I can't wait to hear Jen talk about this, especially when the Fox guy goes. Was when you think it was bad, and she tries to spew out the bullshit she does. She cracks me up with her shit. She is that's one of the biggest liars on the planet. There, somebody needs to tell her. You go to lie, you lie too much, you're going to go to hell.
He's an alien.
And she is trippy, but she's not as smooth as Trump's girl was. Trump's girl get all mad, but still be smooth. This chick gets all. She just can't handle it. It's not a good job for her.
But Trump's girl could communicate with you and have a conversation. This one says he's off the wall things, and I don't know, man. The whole thing is bizarre.
Well,
But
it's
she's
like
not
when she
the
got up
queen of
there and said,
communication.
"Oh, the Republicans want to defund the police," and everybody in the audience, I mean, every reporter out there just looked at each other like, "What?" And then Fox guy hands up and he goes, "What?" He said, "Let me explain to you." He said, "Let me start listing people from the Democrats," and he did. And I mean, he was just going after one, after another, after another, after another. I mean, all the top Democrats that said defund the cops. Most of the ones in places like Seattle, Washington, Baltimore, places like that, Detroit, have all said defund the cops. Why? I mean, are they that ignorant? I mean, I know they get removed from society when they get rich for too long, and they've been senators for too long, or Congress people, because they got their little limos and their rides and their business class flights, so they're not sitting with the common everyday people. So they must forget. But you got to think, people, when they start coming after people, the people will start coming after you. I mean, that's just how it's going to fall out. But still, who knows for sure? Who knows? And but we had a good audience. So we still got a couple minutes. It's
Sad
I'm
but
just I'm just ready for a change already. I can't believe I'm already ready for a change. I thought we'd get. Oh, so people, just in case y'all didn't know this, Trump did say he's going to probably run for the election, and he's going to probably choose what's his name. So right now, the Vegas odds put Trump and DeSantis not only winning, but winning in a landslide, big landslide, House, Senate, the whole 9 yards. They have him winning in a big landslide because it seems like the longer Biden goes on, the more pathetic it gets. Now it's gotten so bad that they're actually going back to go after Obama for releasing the Taliban guy. I just seen it just a little while ago. They're like, well, you know what? He should have never been released. This is your fault, Obama. And then somebody wanted to try him for giving Iran that $450 million cash and 4 pallets. They still want to go after him for that. I'm like, dude, that's like 5 years ago. You can't go after him for that. 4 years ago, however long it is. I don't know. DeSantis is a crazy bastard, and but he'd be more fun than a VP than the last 8 or 10 that have been up there. He'd be always getting his child in trouble. Trump said it wouldn't always be on Trump anymore because he likes to stir shit, man. He is man. That guy likes to stir some shit. But they showed his ratings
Right
in
now, we have a
Florida.
health emergency. We have a health emergency in the U.S., and we need to focus on, not knocking people down and getting them ill. We need to focus on pulling together, and these politicians are in the way.
Mm-hmm.
They're just
Yeah.
playing lawyer ball, but they
Well,
don't care about people. They
but
just
they're all
they used it
going.
to their advantage. They used it during last year during elections. They're using it now. But what about people? What about us? Just plain old people.
Because they're not worried about us. Well, I can't say DeSantis isn't because he buttoned up his state real quick and made sure all the old people got their vaccinations, locked them out so they didn't get sick. Per capita, he lost fewer old people than anybody in the country. So he's going to have that going into the election, and all old people around the country are going to remember that, not just the ones in Florida. It's going to be a good sell for him. And like he said just the other day, and all his doctors and everybody from CDC agreed with him, the majority of people in hospitals in Florida are not from Florida. So he said, don't hate on our state and don't try to shut us down in our busiest season. He said, because it's a seasonal thing. And he said, 3 months, there'll be nobody in Florida at all, and there'll be no COVID either. And he's right, there won't be. Because already 70% of Florida's been vaccinated. So he's going to play it out, and he's going to play it out well. He speaks well. He's a sneaky bastard. It's one of the reasons I don't trust him.
They hover
But
around 22,000 new positive cases a day.
yeah, and like I said, a good chunk of them weren't from there.
That's one of the worst states, aside from Louisiana.
Yeah,
Mississippi,
Louisiana dropped
doing
down
pretty
again a
bad.
couple more today.
Per 100,000, the numbers are very
But
high.
like he said, it's not people from his state. So what are you going to do if they're not getting
still
sick?
there.
Actually, no, they're actually being shipped out. After 6 days, they can leave.
They got
as
22
long
million
as
people there.
yeah, I thought it was 24 million, but after 6 days they
2
can
million
leave.
of them died.
Yeah,
They got
so
20.
you know,
I don't know. I mean, people are moving to Florida, especially leaving New York.
yeah, there are a lot of
Well,
people moving to Florida. They're saying Florida.
not right this second, but
See, the problem for Florida is it would like to catch up with Texas, but Texas is on its way to catching up with California. They're saying Texas will be the largest state in the union within 5 to 10 years. And they're saying Florida might actually get past it. California is just, unless its government changes and becomes more conducive to the people, it's going to keep going backwards. And something else that hurt California people was Hollywood South. When Georgia and Louisiana got into movie making, which is a lot of movies made out of here now, it hurt Hollywood a lot because it's a nicer place. First off, you can be rich and famous and walk through Florida, and nobody's going to f with you. They're not even going to ask for an autograph. It's just a thing down here. We don't bother people who come down here. They come stay. They walk around. Nicolas Cage said he loved these. I walk around at night, just me. Nobody even said hi. He said, "Come." Sometimes I
because
have
he's
to go ask for a
scary.
publisher.
People don't want to walk up to him.
No,
They're
he ain't
afraid.
scared.
No, not even true. Like before the big Georgia push of being like a major Hollywood production facility, I was going to school down there in Savannah, and I worked the biggest liquor store in downtown Savannah, and I was standing at the cash register at the front door, and in comes Daryl Hannah. It's all 6'1" of her. She didn't have her hair was all messed up, like she dyed brown. She was incognito. She had dark horn glasses on, dark t-shirt, dark jeans, dark hair, trying to be not seen because she didn't want people to bother her, which I can understand, But she comes in, she asks me, "Hey, where's the wine?" I'm like, "Go over there." Then she stands with my manager for like 35, 45 minutes buying like about $400 worth of wine. And she comes back up to me and she's like, "I need so-and-so and so-and-so cases of beer." I'm like, "Okay, I'll go get them for you. I'll bring them here to the counter." So while I'm back there going that, she goes back to Robbie and hangs out with him for another 15 minutes or so while I get her beers, like 5 or 6 cases of beer, or warm beer. And then she comes up and she's like, "All right, I need this, this, and this in liquor." Because we sold all 3. So I'm like, "Well, I'll take it over here and we'll get them." She was in our store for a good hour, bought about $700 worth of beer, wine, and liquor, and then left. And then the manager comes up and I'm like, "Hey, how did you enjoy Daryl Hannah?" He's like, "Huh?" I said, "You just spent 45 minutes with Daryl Hannah. What, you didn't recognize her?" He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you spent 45 minutes selling wine to Daryl Hannah." He's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" Like, she didn't want you to know who she was.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret that I shouldn't. So, if y'all are in the quarter and you know there's a rock band or any really good group that's down here and they disappear, there's a place called the Dungeon. It's a really small, little, very exclusive little club. And they got a little hidden room in there where they like to go hang out. So if you know somebody in there, you can get in. And usually, if you know the doorkeeper or anybody can get in the club, but if you want to get back there with them, you just got to know somebody. But there's that, and then a lot of people like to go to Pato's and just sit out on the balcony. But it's weird to me that people don't even go up and ask them for autographs, and you'll hear them whispering to each other because they'll see somebody. There'll be a rock group out there. I remember when. My wife when she met Barry Manilow and them, but I remember when the Stones were down here. They were just walking around just like anybody else.
When the
And part
pandemic's
of it
over,
is,
people can party down. But we have to go back
but
to
it's
reality,
past that.
where right now I was going to announce that ports in China are shutting down. So this is going to cause a problem that we already have a huge problem with supply. The whole supply demand thing, as you guys know. So this is going to throw more. It'll be a huge reduction, and then we're getting back to square one. But they're shutting down all these ports. They just shut down their South port, which is one of the biggest. And that's gonna. It's coming. It's maybe time to go out and buy some toilet paper.
See, it's weird because it's weird down
pudding.
here. See, we're just the opposite. Things are opening up. The mayor and the governor's already said we're not closing any
Not for
businesses
long.
down. No, no. Then they're
Not
no.
for long.
Their deal is no. They said COVID shot or 72-hour test. They're not closing it down. I'm going to tell you why. Because if they do one, they're out of office immediately. They're going to be thrown out because none of the businesses here can survive another shutdown.
If they allow
so you got to
COVID
understand
to thrive amongst children, and things happen to children, these politicians are going to be known for that. That's
okay,
all
well,
I'm
first off,
saying.
there's no children in the city of New Orleans or in the quarter hanging out, so that's a non-new
There's
thing.
no children.
None of the events here are children orientated, so you're not going to see that.
I don't think the virus cares.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because the people
Those
don't
people
care.
have
Mike, you're
kids.
missing the point. These people are not shutting down their businesses again. It's not going to happen. They're not
They
going
have
bankrupt
kids,
because of COVID.
or the
It
kids are
doesn't
going to
matter
be
if they have
school,
kids.
and the kids are
It
going to
doesn't matter if
spurt
they
around.
have kids. They're not going to shut their businesses down. It's not going to happen. None of the heartland, the South, or even the West Coast anymore.
Tell
except
me
for
this
maybe
in 3
Washington,
weeks.
It
3 weeks
doesn't-
till
they're
the
not.
middle of
Mike,
September.
they're already
Tell me
ticking
this in the middle
down.
of
They're not
September.
going to show. Dude, you told me to tell you that 5 weeks ago, and it was going to. They didn't shut down. They're not going to. It's over and done.
I said
with.
that
As far as they're
we're going to
concerned,
be getting into heavy
all
delta,
the
and we're right here.
college, all
And it's
the
not
people
some
came out and
genius
said
statement. I just pay attention to the
they're not, but
numbers
they're
and the
not going to
trends.
do it. Look at Texas and Florida and California. They're worse than they were doing 19. They're not shutting down. You're missing the point. They're not going to do it.
I'm not missing
Doesn't
the point,
matter
Joe.
what goes on.
People will shut it down. If people don't
People,
go out, they
people,
don't go out.
don't want to shut it down.
They're already canceling travel. The numbers are huge. The airlines are already crying right now. And we're
not
just
down
in the
here. They're
beginning.
not.
People don't want to get because that's people in the South.
Because they're not going to do it.
Then they get what they deserve.
I'll tell you what the owner of Delta,
That's all I
the
can
head
say.
of Delta said the other
People
day.
get what
He
they
said
deserve.
if you
then.
close the airlines down again, we're out of business. That means when COVID is over, you can't go anywhere because there's no airlines. They're not going to do it. Nobody
Who the
can
hell
afford
wants
a
to fly
shutdown
with somebody
again.
else if you think you're going to get sick off that person?
Because according to the CDC, if you're wearing your mask, you're not going to get sick.
Oh yeah, listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, but that's what they're saying, and that's why they're not going to shut anything down. According to the CDC, 6 feet distance and wearing your mask.
I'm going to give
you're
you
not
a
gonna
Bill
get sick.
McCormick laugh. There was this guy on cable access when I moved upstate
They're
New
not going
York
to do
on,
it though.
on cable access, like the big heydays. His name was Bill McCormick. He had this very specific ah.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
my Bill
I'm getting dressed
McCormick
on
laugh.
cam. It's it's
COVID-19,
just one of them
you may
things.
get that call.
We're past
How
the
long have
state
you
of
had
closing
symptoms?
down anymore. It's just not going to happen. They don't want to close down anything anymore. They're just not going to. They don't care what the president says. They don't care what the governor says. They don't care what the school teachers say. They don't care what anybody says. At this point,
That's great.
it's a moot
It's going to come
argument.
down to liability. It's going to come down to, all right, you have an office. If you force people to come in and those people get ill, they're going to sue the crap out of you. You know what I mean? So they're going to want the option.
They're going to sue the crap out of you anyway because you're asking for a COVID card. Anywhere you go, you're getting sued here.
You will not see offices come back anytime soon. And they're going to have to figure
we're
out
all
what they're
back.
going to do.
Everybody's back. And wait, it's worse than that. So get this. So big companies said if you don't come back and you want to work at home, you're going to take a deduction in pay. That's how much they want you to come back to the office. They're not doing this anymore. Quality is going down because of people at home. People at home, you call customer service, you hear a dog barking in the background, kid playing. That's done. Companies cannot afford COVID anymore. So it's die or fly.
They can't.
You got to kill some people along the way. That's fine and dandy, but they're not going to shut down because of it.
And I think you're going to see that across the board. I don't think any state is going to do any shutdowns again. The governor of Maryland, Paul Hogan, has stated that he's not going to reinstate the mask mandate. The company I work for, they've reinstated the mask mandate. And they don't care whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. Everybody has to wear the mask. The last 2 days I was at work, I didn't wear the mask because the mask. They've even said the CDC has said it, and some other people have said it. The mask does not keep you from getting it. And the mask does not keep you from spreading it. So what's the point of wearing it? So, on top of
that's not a true statement. The mask gives you more protection than not wearing one. It's that
it
simple.
doesn't stop it. So if it was 100% stops,
nothing stops it. Nothing stops it.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
So why wear it? It doesn't stop it. So
Maybe,
it doesn't.
maybe
I haven't
it's
worn
really a gas mask, maybe, something like that. But, but if it reduce it, if it's 50-50 and you have a 50% chance of not getting it, then it's better to wear the mask. The masks were really for people that had it so they don't spread it. So that it's all those the droplets coming out of their mouth.
Well, too late because it's all over the place.
Yeah, I'll put another video up at how well masks work.
Talk to the deer
Yeah,
population
when
about
you
how they
cough in
got
it,
it.
you see it come out the sides and out the tops and at the bottoms. When you breathe in, the easiest way, people, you ever want to see the mask, go in a smoke chamber, breathe in and watch or use colored smoke, and you'll see it'll come in through the sides, it'll come in through top and bottom. You have big orange or red things around you. When you cough, it comes out the same thing. But worse than that, when you stand somewhere for standing 6 feet away, the person in front of you is breathing. Well, we're breathing out 98 degrees, which means it's rising above you because it's hotter than the ambient air temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So when you step up, it settles down on top of you, comes down through the top of the mask and out through the sides. You can use them, you can not use them unless you're wearing at least something really good, like what we use to paint with.
Yeah.
That's not going to save your life. But
Yeah.
I have
The
no
things
problem wearing
people
them. I
did
just wear them
last year to
whenever I go.
mitigate the spread worked. We mitigated the spread. It dropped down to almost nothing.
No, the
Delta
only thing that
came around.
dropped it down is everybody
People
stopped
took
going
the
anywhere.
masks off. People started running around in large groups.
Yeah,
Boom, and
and
then
that's
here
the
you
only
have
thing that stopped
here
it
you
last
have it.
time was people. But yeah, it wasn't the mask that stopped it. We had the mask for 8 weeks, and then they said, "Okay, you got to stay home." Then it started going down. But
Yeah.
before that, the
It was
mask
already
never slowed
going.
it
It
down.
was the
After
numbers.
they,
Delta was already out there.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about when it was COVID-19.
yeah, well,
You
even just
can't.
the first COVID when they first started the mask mandates, the numbers still went up.
Yeah,
They didn't prevent it any at all. They went
yeah,
when they said stay home, don't go out unless you have to. Then they started to come down again. But in Hagerstown, where I work, people didn't listen to the governor's mandate. There were people going out for stupid. They were coming to my store to buy mulch. Mulch is not an essential item. Now you're in your home and your toilet explodes and you need to fix the toilet. Yeah, come to a home improvement store, buy a new toilet, fix your toilet. But you don't go out to buy 10 bags of mulch to beauty up your front yard. That's not an essential thing for living. And people are
that's
coming
getting
out of
bored
the
out of your
woodwork
mind. Yeah.
to buy
It's
these
just,
things they
hey, but
didn't
look
need.
at it like this, people. If this works the way everybody thinks it was, the Democrats will control the country forever because all the people in the South and the Middle and the West will die, and it'll just be the North left. Yeah, it'd be a boring place, but still,
Yeah.
for some reason, it's
Yeah,
just
but
going to
we
be one
get
of
rid
those
of all the
things that
freaking hillbillies.
they're going to. Well, no, the hillbillies aren't going
No
to get
offense.
it. See, that's where you're wrong. The hillbillies ain't going to get it because they're way out in the country, way away from everybody, and they
Right
grow
now, the
their own
hillbillies
food and
got it.
no, the hillbillies on all. No, the only
The
people
biggest
got it.
numbers is
You're
down
wrong
south.
about that. Nobody in the country's getting it. This is
I could
suburb
show
crap.
you maps all day long. The biggest
Dude,
numbers are
nobody.
down
I can
south.
tell you what's going on down here, and it's not people in the country getting it. It's people in the city getting it. People in the country, most of them grow their own food.
Doesn't
Got their
matter.
own
The
shit. They're
biggest
way out.
numbers
You're not
are
gonna
down
get
south.
their closest neighbor is a mile away. They're not getting COVID. They didn't get it last time, and they're not getting it this time.
Doesn't matter. The
That's
biggest numbers are down south right now. It's
actually
not going to last for long
that's not
because
even actually
it's
true.
going
The
to it's
biggest
going to
numbers
grow
right now
like
in the heartland.
wildfire. It's going to grow like wildfire. You're going to see it in a couple of weeks. Everybody's going to be red, and then it comes down to trying to figure out how
Actually,
to
down
stop.
here it'll be blue, and everybody up north will be red. That's how it happened last time. Last time it was red up north, and it was blue down here. It went back and forth. This way, it's just going to be the opposite this time because we got all the immigrants coming in through the southern borders. But don't worry, we're spreading them up north to y'all too, people. Don't worry, we're
The
making sure
Northeast
you
was the
Yankees
first
get
last
in.
year to clear out
Yeah, last
COVID.
year it was.
Even after Cuomo's debacle with the
But they were
nursing
the
homes
first
and
to get
sick
it.
people there.
But yeah, it's the
New
point. They were the
York,
first to
no.
get it.
Washington State and Oregon were the first ones, but New York got theirs
Not of
from
any
Europe.
consequence.
Those
The
strains
big
came
ones
from
were
Europe.
in New York. That's where the big
They
one come in.
grew.
You could actually see the
You have
progression. You know what
terrible
I love about
congested
maps?
areas in the city,
You
Brooklyn,
know
the
what I love.
Bronx,
Yeah, but you know what I
Queens.
love about maps is you can follow it down the East Coast and across the country. You can actually follow this, so you can see it as it goes into Florida. People leaving because there was a lot of people running out of New York, headed to Florida or headed to their favorite place in
Oh
New England,
yeah,
Connecticut, or
because
Rhode Island.
they're dual
Spreading it
citizens. They
around, just
like
spreading it around.
they're
And that's what's
they
going on
have
right now.
like that
And like
snowbird
a good
thing.
friend of mine said the other day to one of his friends that lives in New York, he said, "And what, you don't think I'm coming up to visit this winter with my COVID?" He said, "Just wait." I was just like, it's not a funny thing, people. I should be laughing about it, but the country has had it. And not just our country. India's had it. India, by the way, says they got Delta under control now. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to leave it alone because we got to
Last
leave.
time they said that, they had a huge outbreak,
I know. That's what I said because we got to leave now. But Jay,
and
thanks for
Lambda
joining us.
hasn't even gotten there yet.
Be sure, guys, I am interviewing Michelle DeRochier and Amelia Pisano tonight. Yes, they are in the hot seat of their own show. This
Amelia,
should be most interesting. But Jay, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate you stopping by. It's a good show.
No problem.
We didn't even get through like a third of what we are supposed to be talking about tonight. I'm going to have to start giving COVID just 15 minutes a show because it ends up taking up 40 minutes. Well, because there's a lot of data a lot of times across, and there's a lot of there's a lot. We right now we're representing y'all are representing pretty much the Northeast. I got the South. We got host out west, but people need to know what's going on in their own
Where's
areas.
Ben, man? What happened to Ben?
I got to call Ben. I keep forgetting to call Ben. I always forget to call Ben. I need to call Ben. Ben, if you're listening, man, just call me or something, man. I see you send me archives all the time. What you doing? Are you out there with the little teenagers again? Now got to watch Ben. Ben voted for Cracker Joe, so just saying. I'm just kidding. Anyway, guys and girls, thanks for tuning into the Essentials with Jamie Nichols and Mike Langley and myself. You can catch us and rerun in a little while. You can catch Jay. You with Jeffrey this weekend, huh?
Yeah, Friday we got a show coming up, and then on the 24th there's a show that I got a guest that Jeffrey put on, a friend of mine that does some research into Egypt, which is some really, really cool tie-ins to the constellations and some outer space friends and visitors.
Oh, that sounds like a fun show. Oh, that's fun. And y'all can catch Michael on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Somebody asked me if they could switch time slots with you. I said I'd have to ask Michael. But anyway, on that note, guys and girls, we got to get out of here because I am running late, and the ladies don't like to be late. They don't like us when we're late. They get cranky, man. Wait till they hear some of the questions I ask them. Now, you think they're cranky now? I'm just kidding.
Especially the beautiful Amelia.
I'm going to be as sweet as can be. Yes, I am. Anyway.
Both of them, but especially Amelia.
Amelia's going to slap you around one of these days. Well, we have to put a step ladder, then she can slap you around. But anyway, I hope you want.
I could deal with it.
Oh God, I bet you could, you perv. Am I start calling you Joe Biden?
They can't come here, but I can go there.
Don't make me start calling you Cracker Joe, man.
She's only like 3.5 hours from me, man. That's not bad.
Man, oh my God, actually, it really ain't bad. But anyway, guys and girls, y'all be sure to stay tuned for the Outer Realm coming up in about 4 or 5 minutes. And for the Centralist, any moans, groans, bitches, and complaints, write to Michael. I don't care. And if you've got a particular topic y'all would like to talk about, send it in to Tears.
The complaint department.
Well, hillbillies, we just call hillbillies anybody who lives in the hills and in the mountains. Look, you could be a bald-type millionaire. If you live in the top of the mountain hill, you're a hillbilly. That's just how it is. It's not so much about how much money you are one. Yeah. And if you know what the word hillbilly means, I'm just going to say anyway, I'm just teasing. On that note, guys and girls, wait around.
Hillbilly.